Hello and welcome to the Relax, Meditate, Rejuvenate channel. I am Karan, the seeker, and tonight I'm going to be sharing something a little bit different for you than what we've been doing on this channel. So, a few months ago, I had mentioned that we needed to do something different, right? We have the meditation, we have the positive affirmations, the soft music to help us relax, but what are we doing once we get into that mode of relaxation, right? Like, where are our thoughts going? How are we using that time to make ourselves better? So what I've decided to do some months back is start holding events on Eventbrite. And it's pretty much been like group discussions on esoteric knowledge and mindset, emotional wellness, meditation, of course. And I decided that I needed to bring that to the channel so that the people can see that here. Because, I mean, that is pretty much what I said I was going to do anyway, right? So I started the series last year, like last summer, and then took a little break, and now we're rebooting it. So right now, the series that I'm doing is called The Divine Odyssey. And what it is a chakra study. So I'm going to put a link in the description somewhere down in this area. And that'll be your link to Eventbrite so that you can join for future events. Last night was the first event, and I didn't record, but I think it's better that way if I don't record the sessions, right? Because I present some information, but then we get to have a group discussion, and I want everyone to feel completely comfortable so that they can talk freely. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump into the slides. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now. So again, this is the Divine Odyssey. This the 7-month series is going to be held on the first Wednesday of the month, and we are going to be doing a spiritual journey through the chakras. You can think of me as your guide for this journey. And what we're going to focus on today is the root chakra. That's where we're going to begin our study. And as we move along, we're going to find that starting with the root chakra is going to lay the foundation for every single thing that we're going to do. With each meeting, we're pretty much just going to build upon the information that we got in the previous meeting. Everything starts here. It's how we build. Think of a house or something like that. You can't build the house upwards if there's no solid foundation. And when studying the chakras, we need that foundation in order to build upon, right? In order to develop. We're starting here, laying the foundation, and giving ourselves something firm to stand on. All right, now, before we, dive in head first, let me just give you some quick background about myself. By day, I am a financial technology worker. I work in financial technology. And for the past several years, I have been studying a lot. I've been researching everything from physics to neuroscience, psychology, spirituality, stress management, personal development, and it's all for the purpose of better understanding what all of this is, right? Trying to get a better handle on what our existence is, how it operates, how it works, how is it every single one of us is connected. And of course, I don't mean, connected through technological devices. I mean, we are all connected through the one single energy field that permeates every single thing in this universe. Every single thing is connected to each other. It's a crazy concept to think about, but it is true. I mean, we can find that in spirituality and in science, which I think is wonderful. They're studying the same thing just from different directions. So it's fascinating to me. And besides understanding existence, I really wanted to understand how we work, how we operate, how we think, why we do some of the things that we do. How can we change some of those things? And really just how can we be our best version of ourselves, right? Because a lot of us are sitting on untapped power, right? And it's like a superhero comic book or something like that. The superhero never taps into their power, their true power, until they become aware of it, right? They could be, sitting there on a farm and then someone comes and go, hey, you have this power. And now all of a sudden they're bursting with strength, but they had that the whole time. So we are the same way. We have so much potential, so many capabilities within us, but a lot of us don't know who our true self is. And I think by studying this, we will find out. So that concept is what led me to actually begin my meditation channel, the Relax, Meditate, can't speak, the Relax, Meditate, Rejuvenate channel. I think with a calm mind, a clear vision, and like I said, knowing who you are, you can achieve so many things. It's unbelievable the amount of things that we're capable of. But we won't know that until we look within. So I'm hoping that with, what I provide on the channel and any other channel you decide to enjoy, however you decide to find that time, you take time for self-reflection so that you can become your best self. Because, we're not here to just get by, survive. That's not living, right? It's not how we want to live. And a lot of us are just doing that just because we don't know what else to do. So my tags and my information are at the top. Feel free to follow. I will gladly follow back and see you in the socials. All right, so here are my hopes for these meetings, right? With this information, if you're able to join any of the sessions, what I hope is that we use this information, this information from each chakra as a study guide for your true self. And again, when you understand yourself better, you understand other people better, right? You get to have that increase in empathy that most people don't have right now, and we need it, right? Think about how impactful that would be on our world if 1,000 people just suddenly started going, you know what? I understand where that person's coming from. I don't need to get upset at what just happened or what they just said. It completely changes your relationships, how you interact with people, how people interact with you. It's something that I think we can all do, but it starts here, right? It starts with you, with that self-study. And another thing I'd like is at the end of this, I'm going to give you some tips, some techniques, some exercises that you could do to, help heal, help bring your root chakra back in balance. And hopefully, again, when you're joining these sessions, we can come back and at the end of, well, not at the end, but maybe at the beginning or at the end of each session, we can, kind of share what we've been doing, what we think is working, what's not working, and maybe give some tips on how to do something better so that we can all expand our consciousness on this subject. Because, no one person is an expert. There's no one size fits all to this kind of stuff. You have to try different things, different ways, and getting insight from other people can help with that. So hopefully that's something we can do going forward. All right, so here's what we're going to do. The rundown. We are going to go over a quick overview of the main chakras. And there are hundreds of chakra points within the body, but we're just going to focus on the main 7. We're keeping it very high level for this series, and purposely. And after that, then we'll get into the details of the root chakra, what it does, what body parts it correlates to, what symbols and meanings things have, and how it can impact your health. After that, I'll give you the remedies, like I said, the tips, the techniques, the exercises you could do. And there's not going to be any group discussion because, unless you want to talk at the screen, I'm totally cool with that too. But during the meeting, we had a group discussion afterwards. So there'll be a 5-minute meditation at the end of this video, and I'll make sure that I share that link with you at the end of the video. All right, so let's dive in. Chakras. The word chakra means will. And the reason being is that these are energy centers within the body. And it is thought that these energy centers are spinning like a wheel, right? Each chakra correlates to an element, a color, a body part, a frequency, and also certain emotions. And that's what we're going to keep our focus on. And I do want to say, and I made mention of this last night, that, studying this is a very deep subject that you could get into. There's so much that again, I'm purposely not including here. Like this, there's ways to connect this to actual science. There's information about this in the Bible, believe it or not. And I'm not going to touch on all of those things here. We're going to limit our focus to just the emotional awareness, the thought process, how our emotions can affect us physically when this chakra is in balance or out of balance. Okay, so if you're looking at something like this for the first time, if you've never seen a chart of the main chakras, it's common to think that you would start at the top. However, we start at the bottom. Like I mentioned before, we start with the root chakra. So now you can't really see my mouse, but with the root chakra, the word for it in Sanskrit is Muladhara. Mula meaning roots, and Dara meaning support. So it is literally root support. That's what the root chakra is for. And again, it's to help lay the foundation. When we don't have firm legs to stand on, it's hard to develop, right? And we need this chakra to be in balance, or as much in balance as it can be, so that we can develop ourselves higher, right? Look at the chart, right? We have the root chakra, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And the lower 3 chakras, these pretty much handle our lower needs. So this is not where we want to remain, right? We have to take care of these needs, but what we want to do is ascend upward. We want to get to our higher self. We want to get to our higher thought faculties, our higher thought process, our highest good. That's what we want. This is what the divine Odyssey is. It is this journey upward through the chakras, better understanding yourself and how you operate at each level, so that you can master yourself. This is a lesson in self-mastery. That's what this is. This is self-development. So I added this picture because I thought it was just a good illustration to further emphasize that we cannot grow upwards without a strong root system. So many people, we know a lot of adults who are grown adults, and I mean grown, like, in their 30s and their 40s, but they have the emotional capacity of a 12-year-old, right? I guess the best way to say it is that they're not emotionally strong. They can't handle adversities that come to them. And think about a tree, right? If a tree doesn't have a strong root system, well, how is it going to stand up to, the wind or someone climbing on it or someone leaning on it? Our life is full of, well, not full of problems. I hope it's not full of problems, but it can be full of problems, right? Things happen and we need to be able to handle those things so that we can move forward again, get to that higher self so that things become a lot easier. Again, just take that in. We need this strong foundation. When a tree doesn't grow roots like this, it doesn't develop upward at all. It can't create a strong trunk, long branches, and it can't produce beautiful leaves and flowers. We are the same, except, we're not growing branches and leaves. But if we don't take the time to set this foundation, it can create that feeling of being stuck in life, and you may not even realize it. So let's get into the details of the root chakra. All right, so as I mentioned, each chakra is associated with, elements, frequency, part of the body. And the root chakra specifically is always seen with this symbol or some version of this symbol. It's not exactly the same. There's lots of variations, but it's always red, representing vitality, such as the color of blood. It always has 4 petals, and you can always find the inverted triangle within it, which represents the element of earth. And also on the inside, there's a square representing, again, that solid foundation. So let's look at what part of the body is associated with. The body part that the root chakra is associated with is at the base of the spine. So it's like your lower 3 vertebrae, and it would be essentially that area between your anus and your genitals. And the glands that are associated with the root chakra are the adrenal glands. Now, this is important because you'll see how this impacts health when we go further into this. But the adrenal glands produce hormones such as adrenaline, right? Which happens when you're either excited or, terrified. And it also produces cortisol, which is known as the stress hormone. So essentially, if you have high levels of stress, you have high levels of cortisol. And of course, the body part that is associated with is the genitals. Now, I do want to make mention, some sources kind of switch out some of the details with the sacral chakra. The organs are located generally in the same region. I don't want you to get hung up on the technicalities. Focus on the emotional wellness aspect, the physical wellness aspect of this. The root chakra is responsible for your very basic needs, your primary needs. And what are those? Food, because you need to eat, shelter, feeling safe, feeling included, and having empathy and understanding from others. Those are our most basic needs on a human level. We all need those things. Without it, well, now that's when things get off track. That's when we start to get off balance, right? And think about it, right? People who are struggling, if someone's trying to find a place to sleep every night or trying to figure out whose couch they can crash on or something, that's not, an ideal time to start talking about, your next investment or this random business opportunity that somebody brought to you. you're not going to be paying attention to that because you're focused on what your needs are. You become hyper focused on it, in fact. And we'll see exactly how that affects you emotionally and physically in the next few slides. So let's look at what happens when your root chakra is in balance, right? Just some good news here. When it's in balance, you feel safe, you feel secure in yourself, you have improved immunity, and I'll explain more on that coming soon. You reverse the look of aging, you're trusting of others and also of yourself, right? Because that's the most important trust that you need, right? Trusting your decisions, trusting your options, your ideas. You need to be able to trust yourself before you can trust other people. And you become more organized and resourceful. It's not always easy to see answers that are right in front of you when you are fixated on, what am I going to eat? Where's my next meal coming from? Where am I going to sleep tonight? Those make it hard to see. Situations like that make it difficult for you to see anything else, really. You become focused on that, and you should be focused on that because, again, those are your basic needs. Let's look at what happens when it's out of balance. Oy vey, right? So when the root chakra is out of balance, you experience things like poor health, survival mode. Now, actually, I mentioned this yesterday. There was a study that I was reading from Harvard, NPR, and what's that hospital? Oh, Robert Wood Johnson. And the study was about stress. One of the causes of stress was poor health. But one of the effects of stress was also poor health. It's crazy, right? It's like a doom loop. Oh man, I'm sick. Oh, you're stressed out. Oh man, you're stressed out. Poor health. Oh man, I'm sick. It's how do you get out of something like that, right? You really have to make serious efforts to retrain your mind. It was a very interesting study. So poor health is a result of that. Now, let's get into a little bit of the specifics, right? Now, what type of poor health are we talking about here? So when your root chakra is out of balance, you can experience lower back pain, you can have like bladder issues, you can experience sluggishness, as you see in this lower picture. You might have like cramping, and that's just to name a few, right? The survival mode, this one in particular, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Joe Dispenza, but he explains this very well. But when you are living in fight or flight mode, and some people are living in this state, it has awful consequences on your health. Now, what is fight or flight mode? Fight or flight mode means exactly what it says. You're either supposed to be fighting, right, squaring up with somebody, or running, right? Because this is your survival instincts. This is like prehistoric. I'm in the jungle running from a dinosaur or something. That's why this root chakra is connected to your adrenal glands, right? Because it's connected to things like that. Your survival, right? Your food, your shelter, your safety. That's all survival. Being able to run away from a tiger that's chasing you, or a dinosaur, or being able to fight off an attacker, that's your survival instincts. So what happens when those survival instincts are kicking up? Well, your blood pressure gets higher, your heart starts racing, right? Your pupils get dilated, and internal processes that are supposed to run normally and keep you healthy and keep things going, they shut down, because if you're in survival mode, that's not the time to, sit and have a meal. That's not a good time to rest and get some sleep. You're in survival mode. So what happens from those bodily functions shutting down? It creates poor health. It creates more health problems than you already had, if you had any, right? So again, this is why the root chakra is so tied to the adrenal glands. Now, we focused on that portion a lot, right? But let's talk about these other situations. The feeling of inclusion, right? One of the functions, the needs, the basic needs that needs to be met is feeling included and feeling like you have empathy and understanding. And not everyone gets that. And you know what? I'm thinking back on it now. We didn't really touch too heavily on this last night, but not having that can most certainly make you feel insecure, right? And what does insecurity lead to? It leads to negative thoughts. And what do consistent negative thoughts lead to? Well, they lead to, possibly anxiety, possibly depression, right? Shorty here is not falling out on the couch because she's excited and full of energy. Something's wrong. And a lot of times when people are experiencing depression or anxiety, they have that sluggishness because so many things are going on internally and emotionally. They kind of just shut down and they don't have the energy to do anything. They don't want to do anything. Even when they think they want to do something, then they just don't do it because they're tired. So what else? We have anxiety and worry that leads to sleeplessness oftentimes, and also depression. When you are, especially when you're living in survival mode and you don't know how your needs are going to be met, that can lead to that feeling of scarcity, that lack mentality. There's not enough to go around because I don't have. And when I do get, well, I'm not sharing because I don't know when I'm going to get again. That's not how we're supposed to be living, right? Abundance is our absolute birthright. But a lot of us don't know that because we're struggling and we don't see any end to the struggle. It's interesting how a lot of these different things kind of loop back into each other, right? Being disconnected from others, feeling a lack of trust, feeling angry. If you're angry and you lash out at people because you don't have any other way to release those emotions, right? Like the fight or flight mode. You need to, well, let me not say need, right? Because you should be fighting people. But you constantly feeling that I need to, let off on someone, but you're not. Well, what happens? It comes out somehow, right? You flipping someone off in the car, you're screaming at your kids, you're getting an attitude with your spouse, just sending someone a nasty email at work. That doesn't exactly create, an environment for people to want to connect, right? And when you have other people doing that to you, it makes you feel disconnected even more. It makes you feel like, oh, maybe it's me, when sometimes they're going through something on their end. So these really all tie back into each other. So the question now is, what do we do to heal? How do we heal from all of this? How do we bring ourselves back into alignment, right? Because this is what the Divine Odyssey is about. It's about understanding ourselves better, right? Understanding why we may be experiencing some of these things, and then getting knowledge so that we can alleviate those problems, manage those problems better manage our emotions, right? When we start mastering different levels of ourselves, it becomes easier to start moving up to the next level. And things that seemed so difficult before, they become so much more easy just because you're seeing things at a higher level, right? There's planes to everything in this existence. So that's what we want to get to, that higher level. So one of the ways you can heal is by getting in contact with nature. This is the root chakra, and the earth element is the element. So you need to connect with nature. We don't realize it, but the earth produces negative ions that flow directly into our body when we make direct contact with it. Hippies weren't hugging trees for no reason. They get, I don't want to say they get, pleasure out of it. I guess they do, right? But you don't have to hug a tree. But if you stand next to a tree, put your hand on it, lean on it, sit next to it, sit down on the ground, put your feet in the soil, go garden, get your hands in the soil, move some plants around, touch flowers, and go on hikes, take nature walks, get around some greenery. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Leave your phone, or at least put your phone on do not disturb and don't look at it. Just be present and observe the beauty of nature around you. It has tremendous healing effects, and it's free to do, no side effects. It's amazing. And also, of course, swimming, right? And the grounding, right? Getting your feet on the ground. If you can't do that where you are, maybe a beach would be a good idea. And also for hiking, negative ions are in heavy production around waterfalls. Great for relaxation. Very. And of course, there's crystals. So some of you may be familiar with, the different types of crystals, what they do, things like that. For the root chakra specifically, you want to primarily focus on the red crystals. However, again, the root chakra is associated with the earth element. So you can also use other crystals like obsidian, which is black, and other like brown or black crystals. These right here, this is garnet, red jasper, ruby. And of course, the different shapes have different meanings and different functions, and they direct energy in different ways depending on how they're shaped. But you can easily get that information when you go into a crystal shop. Whoever's there, they'll be glad to tell you. They love when you ask. So yeah, get you some crystals. You can use them just to sit in your area where you're chilling near your bed, at work. Wear it as jewelry. I wear mine. I have a big crystal that I usually wear, but I don't have it on today. And yeah, you can use it for meditation. It's great for just using it as a modality, right? Something that you can focus on during meditation or while it's in your presence, right? When you see it, you can relate that crystal to what it is you want to do, right? If you're looking to feel more secure in yourself, more safe, more nourished, you can look at your crystal and be reminded of all of that. Your mind works that way. All right, more on healing. So you can do sound healing. There are meditation bowls that are designed specifically for the root chakra. And there's also the mantra Lam. You can say it slowly. Lam. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of weird to do on camera. But it's something that you can do during your meditation. You can do it internally or first out loud so that you can generate that vibration within your body while you're meditating. And the frequency associated with the root chakra is 396 hertz. And of course, exercising is good in general, right? It's gets your heart pumping in a good way. And the exercises that you really want to focus on for the root chakra are the ones that focus primarily on your lower body, your hips, your lower pelvic, your lower pelvic, your hips, your pelvic area, your lower back. Those are the exercises that you want to focus on. And also stretches too. Any stretches that are for your hips and back, opening up that area, very good for the root chakra. What I usually like to do is I like to start breathing before I meditate. And sometimes, especially for going to sleep, right? Side note, I used to have so much trouble going to sleep. Be sitting there, tossing, turning, looking at everything, not getting any sleep. When I started doing deep breathing and stretching and meditating, I started getting sleep so much better, like so much faster. It was amazing. I've been doing it for years now, and what a difference, because I was having such a hard time before. I mean, it would take me hours sometimes. But one of the stretches that I started doing without even knowing about the root chakra when I first started doing it was the Malasana. And this one is really great. It's a really great stretch for opening up your hips, opening up your back. It feels wonderful. And if you can't do that one, and I didn't include it here, I should have added it because we talked about it last night. But another pose that you can do is the mountain pose. So I'll make mention of it in the description, but it's essentially a pose where you're just standing straight up and you put your hands at your side or you put your hands up. And it's pretty much for those who, have leg trouble, who can't really bend their knees like that. But any of these are good. And I'll put the English names of these in the description as well. And also a gratitude practice. Gratitude goes such a long way. It really shifts your mind from focusing on the problem versus focusing on the solution and what you can do right now, right? So let's say you have something happen, right? Because something always happens. Something happened, you can't get X, Y, and Z done, and you start complaining. When you start a gratitude practice, that complaining will slowly start to dissipate little by little. Something that you might have been complaining about for like 20 minutes, or you would have been calling people going, ah. Instead of doing that, you'll start complaining and then you'll start to catch yourself, right? You start to realize, okay, let me refocus. I can't do X, Y, and Z, but I do have this. I have that. I have this other thing. It really focuses your mind. The problem is over here, and the problem is still going to be there. But now I can approach it with a clearer mind, with a calmer mind, right? Because I took that time to focus on what I do have, focus on what I can do. And it's a really good practice. I usually do it first thing in the morning. And you can find any and everything to be grateful for. Even when it seems like absolutely everything is wrong, just remember, you're alive. Hopefully you have working, extremities, limbs. You have a thinking mind. The sun came out. There's still trees providing you oxygen. Any and everything. You can find anything to be thankful for. I've found that if you find something silly to be thankful for, it also helps lighten the mood. So it's a really good practice to include, whether you're having issues with your root chakra or not. Gratitude is it's really good for your spirit. All right, and a little bit more on the healing. So one of the meditations that you can do is a root lock. So with the root lock meditation, or if you want to use it as an exercise, because however you want to phrase it, with the root lock, what you want to do is sit up straight. You want to inhale fully, exhale fully. And as you're exhaling, you want to tighten your root, tighten your anus. And it may sound silly, but it's helping you focus your mind on that area. So it's something that you can do for 10 to 15 seconds, or, for as long as you think you can hold your breath. And when you let out that air and you tighten, hold it, and then breathe when you release. So I'm going to say that again just to make sure I got the instructions clear, because I don't know if that was clear for everyone. You inhale fully, you exhale fully, and as you're exhaling, tighten your anus. Hold it, and then release and breathe. Okay, that's how you do that. Something that you can do while you're meditating, or while you're just taking a moment to sit and think, or driving, or in the office, on the job, whatever, you can do mudras. Mudras are basically positions that you do with your hand. And the one that you see here on the screen, you bring your thumb and your index finger together, and you keep your other 3 fingers together like this. It kind of should look like a wrong facing 6, something like that. And you can just rest it on your hands. You can rest it on your legs as you meditate, and just sit and try to relax. And pranayama, these are breathing exercises. So for pranayama, this word prana means life energy. It is, again, like I said in the beginning, that energy that permeates everything in the universe. So every single time you breathe, you're breathing in prana. All right. So pranayama is control of the life energy. So with pranayama exercises, you're essentially doing different breathing exercises to manipulate your breath. What I would suggest, and what I also suggested last night, is before focusing on any specific pranayama techniques, especially if this is new to you, I suggest just becoming relaxed and comfortable with your own breath. And it sounds easy until you try to do it for the first time. You realize, oh, I wasn't really breathing all that deeply before. So what you want to do when you're breathing is essentially breathe fully into your diaphragm, right? A lot of us, we breathe up here into our chest. That's not it. You want to breathe fully, expanding your belly as you breathe in, and then pulling it back in as you breathe out, right? You're not doing this forcefully. This should be relaxed, comfortable, calming. And when you do this, these are very good to do before meditation. When you do this allows you to focus on the present moment. Oftentimes our minds are all over the damn place, and we really need something to help us focus. So this can help you get that focus by focusing on your breath. Make note of how it feels as you do it. How does the air feel as it's going through your nose, as it's coming out of your mouth? Just become present. How does it feel going throughout your body? And lastly, for our root chakra healing, we have affirmations. Now, these affirmations are something you can say anytime. You can say them in the morning, at the night, while you're in the shower, anytime, right? So you can pick all of these, any of these. Sometimes it helps to just take maybe one and say that one affirmation for however long you choose. And I do want to point out, just as a side note, for those who are new to meditation, there's no rules on how long how long you need to meditate, right? If you have a 5 minutes and you stop to just take a moment and be at ease, that's fine. If you have 15, 20 minutes, an hour or longer, that's also fine. It's up to you. It's up to you how long you do it and when you do it. And from some of the tips that we got last night, if you're looking for like some of the best times of day to do it, when you wake up and when you go to sleep are great times to do it because of the brainwave state that your mind is in, right? When you're going into sleep, your mind is already creating those calming, slow brainwaves. And that's what meditation is doing, is giving you those slow, calming waves. So coming out of sleep is the same thing. You're coming out of those slow, calm brainwaves. So if you take the moment as soon as you wake up to just sit up in the bed and just relax, 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, again, up to you, however long you think you have, those are great times to do it. And I did have a little video down here. I will drop that video link in the chat. This is a video on this channel with root chakra affirmations. So this is the part of the meeting, because remember we had this meeting yesterday. This is the part where we just started talking, having a cool conversation, and we did have a great conversation. So I still want you guys to talk to me too, right? We're not talking live to each other, but we can be in the future, and we can in the comments, right? So if you send me a message, if you have questions, if you have suggestions on something else that you'd like to see, or you want to dive deeper into something, let me know. I'd like to meditate, but I can't read minds. Not yet. All right. So chop it up in the comments. Let me know what you think about what all of this means, right? Is this connecting any dots for you? Some questions that I'd like for you to consider is, and you know what, since we're not live, I'm gonna go back, right? Since you have time after this or whenever, think about these emotions, right? What do you think could trigger these for you? What do you think from your past could cause these things, right? Because a lot of the times we're experiencing these things, but it's not necessarily caused from something right now. We hold on to more things than we realize. So just think about that. Give that some consideration, right? Because this, like I said, this is about becoming a master of yourself. This is self-mastery with the chakra study. And by being able to process our emotions, not get over it, but get through them and understand them so that we conquer them, we make ourselves better, we make ourselves stronger. And when we make ourselves stronger and we lay in that foundation, well, now we can build. Right now we can get on to the next level and start seeing things with a clearer mind. Right? So let me know what you guys think. And now I'm going to switch off to the meditation. So what we did during our group meeting last night was I asked everyone to take a look at the screen and pick an affirmation for you. Just one. Just one. I'll give you a minute. Okay, I'm going to assume you got your affirmation now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch off. You have your meditation. What we're going to do now is we're going to meditate for 5 minutes. I'm going to do it with you. I'm not going to speak. What I would like for you to do is take the affirmation that you chose, close your eyes or lower your gaze, and just repeat that affirmation to yourself. Okay. The meditation starts with chimes and it ends with bells. So when you hear the bell, and there'll be a couple of bells, that's when you know the meditation will be over. All right, let's begin. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Let's jump back into the slides. All right, so just jumping back into the last two slides, this is the workshop schedule for the following events. On June 7th, we'll be doing the Sacral Chakra, and you can sign up for any of these dates or all of these dates by going to eventbrite.com. So again, I'll put that link right down here in the description. I'll put it at the top so you can get to it easily. And I will also link that root chakra video, and I'll give you a link to the meditation that we just did, the little 5-minute meditation. And that meditation is private since it's only for the group meetings. But there is a longer version of that on the channel. If you just want to do that 5-minute, it'll be in the description. So if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you at the events, and I look forward to our discussion. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we're only going to grow from here.